Hello, welcome to Market Avenue. My name is Edward Nyakun. COVID-19 pushed the prices or cost of freight around the world very high. But with the war going on between Russia and Ukraine, the price or cost of sending goods from one place to another, be it by air or by ship, is increasing astronomically. We're going to look at that with the CEO of Giptic, Salasi Kufiako, and then managing editor of Aviation Ghana, Dominic Ando. But let's speak the basic language, and then we'll go to the Ghana Stock Exchange to find out more from Maurice Ogbete how things pan out today on the Accra Bulls as to whether the bearishness of the market is easing or not. Hello, welcome back. That is supply shock. That is market activities that we're witnessing across the globe. And there are supply chain disruptions. Maurice Ogbete is standing by to walk us through the Ghana Stock Exchange performance for the day. Maurice, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Edward.
Great.
So we go to the Ghana Stock Exchange. It's the last day of trading for the week. Not too exciting as we've seen in the course of the week. We see the main composite index going down some 0.49 points. The financial stock index also going down 0.9 points. But year to date, we're still in the negatives. Negative 1.62 for the main composite index, negative 0.47% for the financial stock index. Today, we had two financial stocks, one gained and the other lost. And so that's why we're seeing that, I mean, the drop we see in the financial stock is not as compared to what we see in the main composite index. So let's look at how many shares exchange hands on the market today. By the close of trading today, Edward, we had some 953,820 shares exchanging hands. That, you know, pushed the market capitalization to 63.7 billion. We just see a slight drop. So as of yesterday, we're doing 63.71829. Now we're doing 63.71316. That's because of the drop we see in the composite index. So let's look at, you know, the gainer and the loser for today. So it was
So it's staging, huh?
yes. No, okay, so this Standard Chartered Bank, they gained they gained a peso. So as I yesterday, they were doing 18 pesos per share. Now they're doing 19 pesos per share. But we see SIC Insurance Company Limited, I mean, for the past month or so, they've been making gains. But today, unfortunately, they lost a peso. They were doing 1 cedi 20 pesos. Now they're doing 1 cedi 19 pesos. So by close of trading, we had that's Standard Chartered Bank. They traded some 52,467 shares, and then I think that the highest in terms of trade and volume was SIC, you know. But at the end of the day, they still, you know, made a loss. 80,280 shares, you know, they traded on the Ghana Stock Exchange. You also see the likes of MAC. Okay, that's MTN. MTN Ghana, they traded some 647,459 shares, you know, there. So that's how the market is looking like. It looks like there is more of a shift going to the bond market because government is in the market, you know, trying to raise funds. So then a lot of investors are moving to the bond market, you know, trying to buy treasury bills and what have you.
Is it because the interest there is higher?
The interest rate is relatively higher now. So that's why we see not too much of activity on the Ghana Stock Exchange, or for that matter, the equities market.
Thank you very much, Maurice Ogbete, for that analysis. We go for a short break. When we come back, we'll be joined via Zoom with Salasi Kofiakom and Dominic Ando to find out more how the Russian and Ukrainian crisis are affecting shipping costs across the world. Shipping by air or by sea, it's getting expensive day by day. Even though COVID-19 had already pushed the prices up already, but still, it's getting worse. Hello, welcome back to Market Avenue. We have on the line Salas Kufia Kom and Dominic Ando. Gentlemen, you are welcome. Hello, Salasi. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Dominic, you're welcome.
Hello. Thank you very much, Mr. Nyako.
Great.
I can hear you. Can you hear me, Mr.
Yeah,
Nyako?
I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you audibly. Great. Now, let's start with you, Salasi, before we hook up with Dominic. Now, Salasi, how important is Russia and Ukraine in the corridors of the shipping industry across the world?
Well, thank you very much. A very good evening to your cherished viewers. Always a pleasure to be on your program. I mean, Ukraine and Russia sit on a very important transshipment strait. And so when there are disturbances or turbulence within that strait, then it obviously will pose a lot of challenges within the freight commodity space in global trade. That's how important Russia is, and then also Ukraine.
All right. So, Dominic, You are well versed with the airspace business. How important is Russia and Ukraine in this direction?
It's very important because of the sort of commodities these two countries produce. Currently, the price of sunflower oil has gone up. These two countries are the highest producers of sunflower oil, in addition to soybean and wheat. Ghana is a net importer of some of these.
Wow, we seem to be having a challenge with your line. Wow.
And then, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear
the
you.
fact that a lot of these cargo airlines, are now not able to fly into Ukraine and Russia to bring in some of these commodities is a problem. It's a problem in two ways. The airlines themselves, there's no, because of security risk, no civilian flights going into Ukraine. You don't want to be mistaken for enemy aircraft and shot down. So the aircraft themselves will not fly. Secondly, if they don't fly, it means that there will be shortage of these commodities. Third is the fact that because of this war, fuel prices have gone up. It has affected airlines. So the cost of operating itself for airlines has also shot up and increased the distance that airlines ordinarily would have flown to go and bring these goods to Africa, especially Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya, and the rest. So yes, to the airline industry, it has really affected us. And then the other dimension is that there's a lot of capacity. Corona has gone down. Aircraft are being brought back into service. There are a lot of aircraft and then available. There's a lot of capacity. Meanwhile, we can't fly to these areas where there are commodities that ordinarily cargo airlines and others will fly and bring in those goods to countries that requires them. So that supply chain disruptions is real because of this ongoing war.
All right. So, Selassie, give me an idea of the cost of shipping, let's say from Europe to Africa, when the pandemic was prior to the pandemic, and then when the pandemic struck, and even now that Russia and Ukraine, there seems to be supply chain disruption.
Very well. To start with, as I said earlier, that Russia sits on the very important strait, and that includes the Black Sea Basin, very, very important and critical in global supply chain movement of cargo. They also sit on the Northern Sea Basin, that's the Arctic. It's very important to know that, for instance, the first three ports that comes to mind in Russia alone, Novorossiysk, St. Petersburg, Ust-Luga. If you join these three ports alone, annually it's estimated that close to about 200 million metric tons, okay, of commodities passes through the Russian top three ports alone. And it's important that your viewers understand the seriousness posed by these disruptions. Prior to answer you directly, prior to the COVID-19, as I said the other day, we were doing a 20-footer from, let's say, Guangzhou, Taipei to Tema Port around 800, 900 USD. Extremely, you will get around 950 USD per 20-footer TEU. The 40-footer was doing about 1,004, 1,006 TEU cost of freight from this location as in China to Tema Port. Now, fast forward to the COVID era. I mean, you saw Guta complaining. You saw the association that we also belong to, that is the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, up to 18,000, 20,000, sometimes 24,000 USD for 40-footer TEUs since the pandemic. And so I'm trying to align what is happening in Russia and Ukraine to what is already existing around the same pandemic era, then you and I would understand that it's a huge catastrophe out there that is disrupting global chain, a movement of commodity, i.e. the entire multimodal transport system, which includes sea, which includes air, which includes land, which includes rail, is in a bit difficult, a much difficulties in terms of moving cargo from one destination to the other. And I mean, let's not belittle this. Europe would not be the only continent facing the heat. Africa, which is very dependent on imports, are critical continent that will be feeling the heat in all of this, because the commodity that Russia and Ukraine, I mean, exports to the rest of the world are very critical in the day-to-day life of every every individual. I mean, talk about the crude, talk about the petroleum, talk about LPG, talk about corn, talk about wheat, talk about iron ore. These are disruptions currently happening due to the Russian-Ukraine conflict.
Now, Dominic, you talk about the capacity aspect of this challenge. Russia, we know, has one of the biggest air cargo company in the world, Air Bridge. Dominic, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Yes, I was talking about Russia having one of the biggest air cargo companies in the world. Now, with this challenge and the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia, how does that translate into costs in doing air cargo?
It means that the Russian airline, the cargo airline, will not be able to supply these goods that they produce to countries that need them on time. Other airlines will now have to step in and do that. And these other airlines are also not permitted to fly into the likes of Ukraine and some Russia altogether. So how do they get the goods? What happens is that airlines will now have their planes, which they've stored in their parking bays over the years because of Corona. They've serviced them, they are ready. They are sitting there waiting to fly and bring in their goods. But because of the conflict, they can't go there. The few that are able to go to neighboring Poland and the rest, and are able to get some few supplies from Russia into Poland, Romania, and the rest, they will charge premium from their services. Because they actually had to avoid Ukraine airspace and other conflict-prone airspace to land in, let's say, Romania and Poland and bring in these goods, which will affect how much they charge for it. Of course, DHL and UPS and the rest have suspended services and operations to Ukraine and Russia altogether. The sanctions in Russia, yes, because they will fly there because of the sanctions, and Ukraine because of the conflict. So if UPS, DHL, and some other big cargo airlines are not flying to these areas to bring in these goods, the few that are doing repatriation flights, let's say, for instance, the Ghanaians who came in from Romania, Poland, etc., came via Qatar Airways and other airlines. The few that are doing repatriation flights, passenger flights, they may opt to also add cargo to the passenger flights, and they will charge premium for their services. After all, you need the goods, they're also there, and then they will charge premium for their services. So air freight will also go up. In addition to the fuel cost, that's also killing the airlines nowadays. When this conflict began, we were even projecting that, fuel prices will hit about $100 per barrel. Now we've gone past that. And it's expected that it will keep increasing for the next few months until this conflict is brought under control, because OPEC, yes, they want to scale up, but it won't be immediate. the full throughput, if OPEC scales up production of oil, will not be felt immediately. We're looking at 6, 7 months, 12 months down the line. So, of course, we should brace ourselves up for high freight charges and then increased cost of fuel and some of these commodities we mentioned. In fact, because of the shortage of sunflower oil, wheat, etc., now red oil, which is our palm oil, is now very expensive on the market. The cost of palm oil has shot up by more than 20-30% on the international market.
That one would say that is good news for us that are into the production of, even though Ghana we don't supply too much into the international market, it's good news that the cost of palm oil has gone up.
Unfortunately, we are a net importer of palm oil. We have palm oil processing companies in Ghana who are not able to get the raw materials here. So a lot of them have to import some to supplement what they produce here in Ghana. I know companies in Ghana here who have large plantations in the western region. However, the raw materials they need to produce the palm oil to meet domestic and international demand, they don't have. So they import some from other African countries, and as far as Brazil, etc., to augment what we already have, Malaysia and the rest, to augment what the raw materials they get from Ghana. So we don't even have enough to feed the factories we have here. And they were already importing some raw material. So in a nutshell, we are also a net importer of palm oil.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, Salasi, how does this add to the inflationary pressures that we are witnessing in our pockets? So the individual that is watching us, if freight is gone up by air, by sea, how does this affect his or her pocket, that Ghanaian out there?
Well, very well. I mean, thank you very much. I mean, there are some economic indices and ingredients that really account to inflation. Today is hovering around 15%. I mean, double digits. America is expecting to hit around 10% of inflation, which is going to be their fresh history within their inflationary space. I mean, there are two key components that accounts to inflation is currently what is happening. That is crude and then freight. And so the issue is double or double jeopardy for individuals, consumers, and I mean the ordinary Ghanaian, the ordinary African, the ordinary European, the ordinary American. Americans are crying. If you watch the American space over the last 2-3 weeks, I mean, it's been horrendous, saying the list about how crude oil price has, I mean, they are buying per liter around $4 USD. Can you imagine? And I mean, multiply that by 7 as to how the dollar in the CD is currently doing. And it tells you that the wars within the inflation space would increase, and will not see any subdue within the shortest possible of time, because Russia is not intending to back down from their invasion or the conflict in Ukraine. Don't forget that Russia, per current statistics that have come out this week, is the world's second largest producer of crude oil, aside the United Arab Emirates, Russia. And so to tell you that the number 2 is currently cutting down or total halt to export of crude, tells you what is happening at the crude market, which is going to trickle down to our OMCs here in Ghana. So the ordinary Ghanaian shouldn't expect an ease within the shortest possible time. We should expect a gallon of oil or a liter of fuel hitting around 9.5 to 10 Ghana cedis per liter in the coming days. And that is the reality that faces us per what is currently happening in Russia. So inflation issues Those are simply the costs of goods and services. And so if goods and services are raised, then we should expect inflation skyrocketing over 15 to 20% over the coming few weeks.
Wow. Now, Dominic, from the airspace direction, if you look at what is happening, if I import any good from Europe to Africa or Ghana, how would this affect the pricing of that particular commodity, be it sugar or rice or any other commodity that we import?
In fact, it will be very difficult for us going forward, like CEO has said, because if you are importing these items, first, your currency is not helping. If you are importing sugar for $2, it still says $2. But interestingly, you need 14 cedis for the same $2. So it won't help you. On the airline side, what it means is that the cost of operation will go up. Most of the costs of airlines are priced in dollars. And then if you have to pay the equivalent in cedis, you have to pay more. Landing fees, parking fees, for all those ones are priced in dollars. If the price of the commodity is going up on the international market, $100 per barrel, etc., you come to Ghana, you are paying the equivalent in cedis. Means you need more cedis to pay for. You need more cedis to pay for the same item. So the cost of operation of airlines will go up. And of course, airlines will pass it on to consumers.
Wow.
If I'm passing the cost of freight to the consumer, in addition to the price of the commodity that has already gone up on the international market, means that the consumer will shoulder a lot of burden. The cost of the commodity I'm already bringing is high. And the freight charge will also go up because my operation as an airline has gone up. Means that the consumer will have to brace him or herself for a lot of difficulties in the coming days.
Wow, that's getting interesting, but this is how time will permit us. God willing, we'll come your way again. Gentlemen, Dominic and Selassie, we're grateful for your time. Very grateful. And God willing, we'll come your way again on Market Avenue. My name is Edward Nyakun. Shalom.